you down, and we can come to questions after their presentation. Sénateur Nolin.
Merci, Madame Adib. Le comité publie aujourd'hui son rapport final.
Is publishing its final report today. It should help us to improve in many ways the way that we're treating not only cannabis but also all the illicit drugs in general. Essentially, the committee recommends that cannabis should be from here on in legal and of restricted use, that Canadians can choose whether to consume or not
the public policy
in
regime we
security.
propose expresses the fundamental premise underlying our report. In a free and democratic society, which recognizes fundamentally but not exclusively the rule of law as the source of normative rules, in which government must promote autonomy as far as possible, and therefore make only sparing use of the instruments of constraint, a public policy on psychoactive substances must be structured around guiding principles respecting the life, health, security, rights and freedoms of individuals who, naturally and legitimately, seek their own well-being and development and can recognize the presence, deference, and equality of others. La thèse de notre rapport est la suivante.
Our report is based on the
Dans une
following
société
principles.
libre et démocratique
In
qui
a free
reconnaît
and democratic
fondamentalement,
society,
mais non
which
exclusivement,
recognizes
la primauté du
fundamentally
droit,
but not exclusively the rule of law as a source of normative rules, and in which government must promote autonomy as far as possible, and therefore make only sparing use of the instruments of constraint, a public policy on psychoactive substances must be structured around guiding principles respecting the life, health, security, and rights and freedoms of individuals who naturally and legitimately seek their own well-being and development and can recognize the presence, difference, and equality of others.
Our approach has been comprehensive and rigorous. We had held 39 meetings with 234 witnesses, including town hall meetings in 8 communities across Canada, to hear directly from Canadians. Of course, we held the usual formal hearings with expert and interest group spokespersons from Canada and other countries such as Switzerland, the Netherlands, France, and the United States of America. We have examined science and studies in depth and looked closely at our international obligations and how other countries approach drug policy. Nous vous présentons un rapport exhaustif et selon nous, il ne pouvait pas en être autrement.
In our mind, we
Nous avons
cannot do
l'intention de
otherwise.
recommander au gouvernement
We
les
intend to
véritables
recommend to the
choix qui
government
reposent
the
sur
two
toutes les
choices
connaissances
that
et toute la
are
sagesse
based on all the
que nous avons
knowledge
pu
and wisdom
mettre à profit.
that we were able
Le
to
sénateur
garner.
Kenny et moi souhaiterions
Senator
manifester
Kenny and
notre
myself
gratitude
would
profonde
like to show our
à nos collègues du
profound
comité,
gratitude
les sénateurs
towards our
Maheu,
colleagues on
Rossiter
the
et
committee,
Banks,
senators
ainsi qu'au
Maheu,
Sénat
Rossiter and
qui a
Banks,
accepté
as well
de
the
confier
Senate,
cette
who
tâche.
accepted to entrust this task to us.
Nous souhaiterions également souligner le
We would
professionnalisme
like to
et l'indéfectible appui
emphasize the professional
de nos
work
recherchistes
and
et
the
de notre
unflinching
personnel
support
administratif.
of our researchers and
Nous
our
avons d'ailleurs
personnel.
souligné leur contribution dans le rapport.
We also mentioned their
Enfin,
contribution
surtout,
in our
nous
report.
aimerions remercier les nombreux
And
témoins
finally, above all, we'd like to thank the many
experts et
witnesses,
de tous horizons
public servants,
qui ont
experts, and Canadians of all
et ont
walks of life
manifesté leur intérêt
who
pour
participated
nos
and
travaux.
showed their interest in our work.
Our recommendations address the changes we propose and how we believe they should be implemented. There is no need for great delays if the government agrees with us. Indeed, we hope that the government will immediately address many of our suggestions, particularly those related to medicinal marijuana. We have concluded several major points. First, we really need to get our act together on a multilateral basis on our drug policy in general. In many ways, prohibition is a cop-out. We need to gather the information needed to take sound decisions, coordinate our actions based on that information, and focus on harm reduction, prevention, and treatment. That is why we are proposing a national advisor to the government and a Center for Information and a monitoring agency adequately funded and reporting to Parliament. There's a reason we focus on these elements. Canada is not even close to doing well enough. Deuxièmement, en ce qui concerne particulièrement le cannabis, toute l'information.
Secondly, with regard to cannabis, all the information that we studied has brought us to reject the gateway drug theory and to conclude that cannabis is much less harmful than alcohol. As a general policy, the prohibition has not given any results and will never yield any results. There is no good reason to subject the consumers of cannabis to the application of criminal law. This is why we recommend that all criminal records be erased and an amnesty should be given out for cannabis offenses. In a free society such as ours, it's up to each one to decide whether they want to consume cannabis or not. And we do not want to encourage this consumption no more than we encourage alcohol or other more benign substances like beer or wine. But this personal decision must be under regulations adopted by the state. And we have to keep a criminal system for traffic or for persons under 16 or for impaired driving with alcohol and a psychoactive substance being used simultaneously, or any kind of production or distribution that is not according to the rules.
Local governments, social agencies and experts, and do the right thing. We recommend a conference of Get Things Started. We have not ignored our international responsibilities or the controversy that will no doubt be generated with our neighbors, but we also believe that our relationships with our friends are solid enough to work out the implications of what we believe we should do for our own citizens. Nous favorisons la réglementation et la légalisation du cannabis.
We are in favor of regulation and legalization of cannabis, and among the many reasons that we've mentioned, we reject decriminalization because this would preserve the role of organized crime and would continue to erode respect for the law. This would also make prevention and treatment more complicated.
The ball is now in your court. There is no longer any real reason not to act. I'd like to invite Deputy Chair of our committee, the Honourable Colin Kenny, to add any comments, after which we will be pleased to address any question you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pierre Claude. Just briefly, I'd like to underline that this report is a unanimous one. All members of the committee from both sides supported it. Secondly, I'd like to underline the point that no one on the committee wants to see an increase in use in cannabis. In fact, we believe that the recommendations you see in this report will ultimately result in a reduction of use of the drug. And finally,